Hello and welcome. This is RPG Coaching. My name is Laurie. And if you are listening to the podcast, this is the Gamepathy Podcast. And you know what time it is today, folks? It's again Dead Talk time. And today I have a very special guest with me here live. We are talking about quantum parenting. It's a really exciting topic, but don't rush ahead so much. So if you are watching it on my YouTube channel, you can already see this really good-looking young man, Carlo Chinciari. He is right now live from Australia, so from totally the other side of the world, and I'm so excited to have him here. He's a multi-award winning coach, a peak mental performance coach, and he was also working with kids for more than 10 years, and he's also a father himself. So that talk is totally what we're gonna do here. Thank you, Carlo, for accepting the invite.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be awesome. I'm pumped.
So tell me a bit about yourself and what kind of work have you done in the past with kids?
For sure. So as you mentioned, I created a company when basically straight out of high school here. I was 19. I created a company all around personal development for kids. And it was the idea was to use sport and movement and physical exercise really to help kids become the best version of themselves. And so I created this company at 19. I had no idea about business. I had no qualifications, no certification around teaching or coaching or sports or business or anything like that. And it really was all about helping kids become the best version of themselves. And right from the start, I knew that the value of helping kids from a very young age, which, as I mentioned, the kind of work that I started there, I'm now continuing with what I'm doing now. But in order to really shape a life of success and really reprogram the subconscious mind of our kids in order for them to be really successful and find ultimately what I think is the most important thing with this life is fulfillment, and be able to kind of at the end of the road be there and say that, hey, I've lived an amazing life and I'm fulfilled. I've become the best that I could be. I fulfilled my potential, and I have no regrets. So FitKicks was a company. It was an incredible journey. We built it to be Australia's multi-award winning kids company or kids industry company and program. I became the 2018 the very first Australia Kids Industry Leader of the Year for the work that we were doing, and very much taking a different approach to kids activities. Instead of just teaching sports skills or dance skills or martial arts skills or music skill, it was always about keeping kids as the center of everything that we were doing, and helping them become the best people that they could be in the first place. And then as a result, if they wanted to pursue careers in sport, in music, in arts, and wherever there was, they would be best placed because of all the inner traits and inner qualities that they were required to succeed. Following on, fast forward to 2020 and COVID year kind of hit everyone. We couldn't operate our group session, our holiday programs, all the kind of stuff that made us who we are. And so I decided to take my years of personal development work and learnings and studying and really just diving into, how can I, what does it take to make someone or to help someone really achieve anything they want, for them to be the best they could be. And so instead of focusing my work on, kids and teenagers, it became very much about working with business owners and athletes and dads to help them become the best they could be. And so right now I run a company called Peak State Performance, which is all about helping people show up with absolute confidence and certainty on a consistent basis, so that they can literally whatever success means to them, for them to be able to get it. And it's absolutely awesome. It's fabulous. It's the best kind of work to be able to work with people and connect with people all over the world, just like yourself. and kind of sharing the journey, and it's really cool.
Wow, that's an amazing story you have here. But uh, do you mean like you're taking your experiences working with children into today's um, services where you're working with adults?
So yes and no. So I'm not talking about stories of, hey, this is the time that little Bobby did this. Not to that extent, but to the extent that the mind is the same, whether you're a
Right.
child or whether you're an adult. The problem with adults today is that, as you probably find, is that most men are 5-year-old boys in grown bodies. Okay, because we've never really taken the time to grow not just our body, but our emotional fitness and intelligence,
Okay, I
our
think just
mind,
lost
our
half of the audience here.
um, no. So, but the truth is that I think it's come a time for us as men to really stand up and show up for our families and for ourselves. Now, just because it's where we are right now, doesn't mean that's where we're going to stay. Um, we want to take personal responsibility, because as men in general, right? I'm not sure how many mums and women listen to this, and I hope lots of them do. But as men in particular, we're meant to be leaders, right? We're meant to be creators of our life, right? And so leading, before we lead anyone else, we have to lead ourselves, right? And so once we become the best version of ourselves, we become inspirational to our kids, to our partners. And I do a lot of work around relationships and helping men kind of build better relationships by changing themselves first. So I get asked this all the time. It's like, Carlo, this came out of nowhere. You were just working with kids. But the difference is that I never felt that I was a kids coach. I was a life coach working with kids, right?
Mhm.
Because the value and the importance of helping kids start life right is the best thing that I can do, right, in order to support them and give them the best chance from the outside of family. Right. I
Right.
mean, I'm sure we'll jump in and talk about parenting and all of that, which I'm really pumped about. I've got some really strong views that I believe in, because my my mission is to really help people, to help them succeed and be the best they can be, right? And so obviously I'm outside of families and I don't have as much influence as, let's say, you with your kids, but there is that need of actually someone helping parents, because we all don't know what to do. And also we are all flawed. We all have our limitations and our blocks and the things that we don't feel so confident on. And so
Right.
getting outside support, because it's not someone telling you what to do, it's literally someone supporting you to be the best that you can be, which you will know with the work that you do with your clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You were talking earlier about, helping kids tap into their subconscious, bringing the best version of
Sure.
themselves, and that leads me naturally to the question of quantum fields and quantum energy, because I know
Sure.
I'm also studied a little bit, and I'm a huge fan of Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza as well, but in your terminology, what does quantum parenting mean to you? Exactly.
It's a book
I have
about
the
it.
same book with the same cover. Right.
Love it. Love it. So there's many different ways, I guess, that I'm not a massive fan of going super geeky in the like super detailed version of I guess even what Dr. Joe talks about in terms of quantum. But I'll actually, something that I found in his book, it matches it exactly to how I view this. And it's basically, for people that don't know too much about quantum physics, I'm going to break it around super simple. It's the idea that before quantum physics came along, there was an idea by some pretty smart people, far smarter than I am, that they talked about energy and matter being two different things. Okay, that it's either energy and never matter, or never matter, always energy, right? And so what quantum physics has found, has discovered, that it's basically energy and matter are one, and they're and at the same time are nothing. Okay, and basically it's that fact that energy has matter and matter has consciousness. And so what it means for us in very simple terms is that as individuals, we are mindful matter, right?
Right.
So that's the simplest way that I've found to describe it. Okay. In terms of what I do, as you can see here, I have a quantum identity shift process. Where it is, there it is, and it's basically my method of helping someone completely transform their life and choose who they want to be. I believe that identity is completely the game for anything that we're trying to be and trying to do, right? The quantum side of things that I work on is the very first thing, and it includes things like energy, right? Because as we were talking before, is quantum is all about the transferring of energy, right? We are energy. Everything that we do, everything that we say, everything that we transfer. I mean, even let's say someone works in sales, the very first transaction that happens between people is energy, right? If someone gets good energy, good vibes off you, all of a sudden you're like, hey, those are my people, right? That's the kind of energy I like to be surround myself in. So a lot of the time when we are struggling, we're stuck, we don't know who we are, or we're lost, or we're not succeeding in terms of whatever field we are, whether it be parenting, whether it be business, sport. Often there are some blocks, some energy blocks that are getting in the way.
Right.
And then we talk about emotions as well, right? Because emotion is energy within our body. Right. So getting those emotions out, getting that negative energy out and away from our being, leaves us in a more peaceful, calm, and relaxed state, so that whatever we're trying to work towards is able to be attracted to us. And then we bring the law of attraction into this conversation as well, which is basically what we feel and what we think about, we attract. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to be as a being. We need to be cleared of all the negative stuff that stops. Almost like a magnetic field. You know, when you turn the magnets around and positive on positive, it just doesn't go, right? So we want to be in a state, both mental and emotional and energy state, where nothing is sort of blocking our success and us from being our best that we can be.
Yeah, that for those who are listening to the podcast or watching it on the YouTube channel, it might sound scary. Like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I'm
Sure.
not a physicist, and so just, dear ladies and gentlemen, don't take this that seriously. Carlo knows what he's talking about, and if we approach this from a different angle, like a biological, all the cells are built up from atoms, right? All the atoms are resonating on a frequency because we have protons, neutrons, etc., etc. So we do have our vibes, and if you're browsing Instagram, hashtag good vibes, it's basically kind of like that, right? So if you're feeling attracted to somebody, like just from the beginning, and you feel just like Carlos said, like, these are my people, it's because of that, because we are resonating on the same frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I have the high educated guess that you can modify that kind of frequency for your clients, right? That they
100%.
can resonate on whether on a higher or whether on a lower frequency in
That's right.
the terms of what they will need. So my question to you is regarding quantum parenting, because all of the parents, what we parents would like to have is, peaceful memories from our children and have some quality time with them. But often we get, distracted by our job, or whether, the kids don't behave the way we just want. And here is the mistake, because this is also what I used to tell my clients, and we talked about this as well earlier, that everything what we're doing is from our past experience, aka how we were raised. So we bring in our old parenting patterns into our current existing parenting.
100%.
Some of the old parenting patterns are completely okay, but we have to realize on a conscious level that some of the old parenting patterns are not working anymore, especially in these days when we face this global lockdown situation. And I mean, the kids are, learning from home. You are working from home. Everybody is at home basically. And then, like, you're grounded for 2 weeks, go to your room. And I was like, come on, Dad, seriously? I'm in my room like for a year now.
All the time.
So,
yeah.
Right? So those patterns are clearly not working anymore. My question to you is, how would you approach at the very first time if somebody is contacting you and is saying like, Carlo, I really would like to be a better parent? What were your first approach, first steps?
I would say that they will need to get better themselves, because and I kind of go back for a second and touch on the fact that the parenting skills that you said worked when we were kids, but don't work now. Those parenting skills never worked in the first place. A lot of the way that we were brought up, a lot of parents back in old school parenting were just not aware of how kids work. So we have to understand what works for kids, leave our crap at the door, and just show up in the best way that we can for them. So if a parent came and said that to me, I would simply say, become a better person. Because just like in business, just like in sport, parenting is one of those things that whatever you have inside of you is going to come out. Okay. So if you want to be a better parent, guess what needs to get better first? It's got to be you, and it's got to be taking care of all the stresses that you have, letting go of there are three things that destroy freedom. Okay. And this is the same for everyone, for every person in this world. Those are negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and destructive behaviors. Right. If you have a parent that doesn't have the relationship with his kids that he desires or she desires, look at those three things. What are the emotions? What are the beliefs? And what are the behaviors that they're doing? Right. Now, a big misconception of around the parenting scene is that we think that there are good and bad kids. I'm very much of the belief that there is no good or bad kid. There is just kids, right?
Right.
Their behavior is communication. If you're not present, if you're not showing up, and if you're not being your best yourself, they're going to act out, right? When they cry, they don't cry because they're naughty kids. They cry because that's how they communicate to you.
Exactly.
So don't get frustrated. Just say, okay, what does he want, right? When he or she makes a mistake or does some naughty behaviors, they are not naughty kids. They're just doing their actions are not right. And so it's so important for a little parenting tip is to, instead of labeling the child, label the behavior, because labels in our mind run a whole program. Right. And so if you keep telling your child that he's naughty, his brain is going to run a whole identity program around, hey, I'm a naughty kid. What does that naughty kid look like? doesn't listen, always gets yelled at, does silly things, is in trouble, all that kind of stuff. So labeling behaviors rather than the identity. Keep the identity strong. Label that in a really positive, reaffirm it every day. And then when they do something, like my daughter does little silly things all the time, and say, hey, that's silly behavior, right? Or that's naughty behavior, right? Or whatever it might be. I keep her identity separate because I need it, because as she grows up, her identity is going to be challenged by everything she does. I need her to know who she is, right? And as a result as well, right, kids are going to make mistakes. We want them to fail. We want them to make mistakes, right?
Exactly.
I'm not scared of my daughter making mistakes and failing, right? But what I know is going to happen, that if her identity is strong and that is positive and untouchable, indestructible, the behaviors that she does, her actions are going to match that identity. Because if you are, let's say you are a world-renowned doctor, that's your identity. Say, I am the world best doctor, right? You're not going to go and rob a bank. You're going to live in a certain way. Or for example, let's say I'm a policeman, right?
Right.
You're going to live in accordance to that identity, which is upholding the law, doing the right thing, helping others do the right thing, catching people. You're not going to go and rob a bank if that's your true identity. So kind of took a bit of a quick detour around that. But as men and as people, and even women watching this, if you want to be a better parent, you have to be a better person, because all your insecurities, all your fears, all your doubts, all your energy, right? Especially in the first 7 years of kids' lives. The mind in the first 7 years is completely unconscious. It's just in download mode, which is in download mode of how you talk, how you treat your husband or your wife, the energy that you have. If you come home always stressed, that your child is going to download that energy and keep it deep inside of it. They're not going to show it straight away, right? But when it comes to it and they have kids, their mind is going to go back to the filings cabinet and be like, I don't know how to do this. How did my parents do it? And then the cycle continues, right? So if you have kids 0 to 7, this is you're going to shape your son or daughter's life in those 7 years.
Right.
There's a famous quote. That goes something along the lines of, if you want me to shape a man, give him to me for the first 7 years, and I'll return you a man, or something like that. Something along those lines. It's not quite the right, but the first 7 years are critical. The better we are as people, the better our kids are going to be as people. And we don't have to be perfect. That's not about that, because we'll never reach perfection. It's a stupid standard, impossible standard, right? Yeah. But we have to let go of our blocks, of our limitations, because guess what? The same block in parenting is the same block that are keeping people broke, that are stopping businesses from growing. There are same blocks that are stopping like a pro athlete going to the next level. It's all the same. It's all the same mind, same emotion, same beliefs,
same person.
So we have to same people, right? Just different details. We're not that different, right? Yeah. The people that have got, that are billionaires, that are the world's best, they don't have anything that I don't have, except for maybe they've worked their mind to be a little bit better than mine.
Exactly.
That's all it is, and it's so achievable.
Yeah. So just go back to a little bit where you said don't label kids, label their actions, right?
Yeah. Huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you present it with a real life example? What do you mean by that? Like, don't label the kid, but label the actions, because I'm pretty sure that there are many parents who are listening or watching this and heard what you're saying, but they cannot imagine like how should it look like in real life,
sure.
in real action, right?
Sure. Okay. So I'm going to throw this back at you, right?
Okay.
Curveball. Now, what's something that you have a son,
No, I have a daughter as well.
Daughter. Okay, great. I got
No
that right.
worries.
So you have a daughter,
Yeah.
right? Let's say your daughter um, your daughter does something wrong. Okay. Let's
Okay.
say that she spills pasta on the floor, right? Or she spills food on the floor, which can happen, right?
Yeah.
um, if you so what we're trying to do, right, is get her to do the right thing, keep food on the table, right? If she spills it on the floor and you go, oh, you're so naughty, right? Listen to that. It's you are naughty, right?
Yeah.
Instead of throwing food on the floor is naughty.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I'll give you another example. Let's say you go to cross the road. I'm completely thinking just on my feet here. She goes to cross the road and she runs off. Or I'll give you another one. Let's say she's trying to play, right, and she says something that is not kind. Okay,
Yeah.
you can say, "Oh, you're not kind when you when you do that," or "You're not kind. You are rude. You are." Anything that goes after "you are," that's labeling. You either label the after "you are," you're really labeling them as people, right? You want to completely unattach the two and say, no, hang on a minute. You are a kind, well mannered girl, right? We don't throw food on the floor. We don't say unkind things because that's the behavior of unkind people. But hey, remember who you are. Remember that you are a kind person. Now, in the moment, it might seem like trivial. It might seem silly. It might seem like, but if we do it, right, when it comes to it, right, when they have the choice or when they go and their identity is challenged, we're all trying to prepare our kids because what are we really trying to do, especially with our little kids? We're really trying to build trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trust for us, but also trust of them so that when it comes to it, they do the right thing, right? Who they amount to be as people on the external world is going to really come down to their identity. And the reason why identity is so important again around that trust is that because if they live, I really like the idea of that policeman identity, right? Because you see the policeman or even the firefighter or people of virtue, right? They're always there to help. That's who they will never go out and hurt someone because that's not who they are. Right.
Right.
And so if we want our kids to be successful, we have to instill the identity of success. We have to instill the identity of them doing the right thing, of them making good decisions. And that identity really becomes their fabric. And then the results are going to look after themselves. Because
Absolutely.
I think as parents, we want our kids to be successful. We want them to fit in. We want them to be liked. We want them to be happy and confident, right? But that's the result of identity. Because if they are confident people, how are they going to show up every day? What are they going to do?
Absolutely.
They're going to be
Absolutely.
confident.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was kind of tricky to think on the spot, but I hope that kind of helped.
Oh, absolutely. Just adding to the example of pasta, I think you're also speaking from your own experience, right? Um,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah. So I also you
Or, or,
what?
or do you, sorry, you just I'll mention this, and the reason why I got into this kind of work is because I wanted to be who I didn't have when I was a kid. I wanted to create something that I wish I had. So I'm really selfish because I'm trying to solve the problems that I had as a kid. And it's not selfish because I know that my problems were not unique. Like I'll give you another example. As a child, I lacked self-esteem. I had identity issues. The main one that I had, there were lots. One that I think fits in with this is around lying. Okay, when kids go through a stage about, I think the age that both of our daughters are at, where they say lies, right? Perfect. this is perfect example of this, of identity. Now, I could say, oh, you're such a liar. You're a liar. Don't lie. You're a liar. Okay. That is going to come across as just, yeah, but I don't mean it. Like my parents used to do that to me, and I didn't turn out that way. Or, which I'll challenge that. But that's a perfect example, because if what happened to me, I was always the kid that was sick. Was never sick, but I always was sick at home from school because I was scared, right? And so I lied. And I heard so many times, oh, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying, you're a liar, you're a liar. And so in my mind took that in as, oh crap, I'm a liar. I'll never be a good person because I'm a liar, right? The difference could have been you always say the truth. You speak the truth. You have a good heart. You always speak the truth. But this time you didn't tell the truth, right? There's a difference. I'm disciplining by labeling that behavior. Say, when we don't say the truth, that is called lying. Are you a liar? And you go, no, I'm not. No, who are you? I'm a person that says the truth. I'm a
Right.
person with a good heart, right? Massive difference, because now I get to the point where, hey, I'm going through this personal development journey where I'm trying to become my best self. I have to let go of all those identity. And I'm telling you, Lorraine, it's hard work, because your mind has been programmed the first 7 years and it's instilled in you. I'm now almost 30. And so I have 30 years of undoing work and creating a new identity for me. And it's a everyday battle, right? It's so important, the language that we use with our kids every day. We have to, and this is why it brings into the quantum field stuff, because we have to be conscious. We have to be conscious about what we're doing, right? Conscious parenting, quantum parenting, right? Because
Exactly.
we have to give only good energy to our kids. We can't pass on our own limitations and faults.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, man. It's so important, especially the very first years, right?
Mm,
And you said like we have to really consciously choose the language on how we speak to our children and how to
it's huge.
speak to our spouse, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that language, if you're wondering which kind of language that should be, it's easy. The language of love. Yeah.
Hmm.
And if you're looking for a simple tip also from me, what can you do when your kid is doing something which is naughty? So it's not the kid is naughty, but he or she is doing something naughty. Like, don't reflect with your emotions, because your emotions are triggered by your past experience, and then immediately you just turning yourself into battle mode, or shouting at your kid, or just going full blown dragon or something. Just in Star Wars, search your feelings, right? And then it's totally okay to reflect on the situation, but not on the kid immediately.
That's right.
Just as you said, like, it's totally okay. Like, I also used to say, like, pasta doesn't belong to the floor, it's belong to the desk, on the table, right?
It
And that doesn't
usually belongs in my stomach.
yeah, right. Right. So this is also, I'm not labeling my kid, I'm just labeling the situation, like,
That's right.
pasta doesn't belong on the floor,
That's
right?
right. And
Yeah, go
sorry,
on.
the thank you. The other thing around language is that sometimes we say something, we know the meaning of what we're trying to say,
Right.
but how our kids or even our spouse or even our colleagues, the people that work for us, what's the meaning that they're going to take? Because if you reverse engineer it and you start talking in a way that, because you might say something that's like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. But if that's the way they're going to take it, we have to adjust our language, right?
Absolutely.
And our brain always likes easy, simple, and fun things. It works in pictures, but also likes those good, positive emotions and feelings. If you're trying to speak to your child and what you're saying is very hard and tough, it might be worth actually turning it around and actually speak with a bit more nurturing, emotion. Speak with a bit more lighter words, uh, different tonality of voice. It might seem like, oh, I'm too tired, I don't have time for that. But if you're serious about, hey, helping your kids become the best people they can be, we have to understand the mind and we have to communicate in a certain way.
Absolutely. And if you're watching or listening to this podcast or to this video on YouTube, and if you wonder like, okay, but those two guys are knowing the stuff, and no, we also make mistakes on daily freaking basis. What
I can call my wife. She'll vouch for that, 100%. And yeah, it's not about being perfect.
exactly?
We are, we're faulty machines, right? We make
Absolutely.
mistakes, but the one thing I would say about that is that we are always in control of how we show up, right? So
Bingo.
you don't need to know everything. Just show up as the best you. If you have to sit in the car before you walk into the door and just prepare yourself for battle, prepare yourself to walk into a burning room, okay, to a wife that has been with the kids maybe all day, or the kids that are temperamental or whatever, or and just be prepared to serve, because your wife and your kids don't expect perfection. They want attention, they want love, right? And
Exactly.
as men, we all we have to focus on is the way that we show up, which is again everything that we've talked about, and becoming better people is that so that we can show up as the best self, and everything will take care of itself.
Absolutely. And if you're a dad, and if you're listening or watching this, and if you have a daughter with the same age as we do, right? Yours is 3, right? Your
Three and
daughter
a
is
half, yeah,
three
or
and a half. Yeah.
soon to be four, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So mine is also 4. So give as much hugs as you can while they're accepting it,
Mm-hmm.
because there will be times when they in a preteen age and a teenager age, when they were just like, oh come on dad,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
And on top of that, I would say, and I'm really big on this, if you're a dad with boys, do the same. Do the same.
exactly.
Show emotion, show affection. I have a little boy on the way, and I'm gonna kiss him, hug him, squeeze him, just show so much affection to him, because as men in particular, we are emotionally um, delayed. I was trying to find a really good word to put it. Again,
That was the
remember when we were saying
political
that.
correct word for
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. I tried, right? Because we haven't developed our emotions, because we have this stigma around emotion as men, because our dads uh, didn't were emotionally delayed and just stupid, right? That we don't show emotion, especially to our boys. We need to be tough. Tough does not come from that. Tough comes from feeling all your emotions and doing the hard things.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You don't need to be like hiding all your emotion and blocking off and always having a mask and always showing like nothing gets to you, nothing makes you cry. No, no, no. You're going to be tougher if you can cry and still do the hard things. That's what being a man is all about, right? So I'm gonna cover my son in kisses and hugs and show him a whole world of emotions. And dads out there with boys, I encourage them all to do the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, so whoa, that was amazing. That was amazing, Carlo. Thank you for being here today, because
Absolute pleasure.
our time is soon up. But I have the high educated guess, but that we gonna see you again on this podcast soon. So, dear moms and dads, if you're listening to this, and if it was too much, yeah, or if you have some questions for to Carlo, yeah, I will put his links into the description of the podcast and into the description of the video, obviously, so you can reach him out directly, right? But if you like this episode of Gamepathy Podcast, then I highly recommend to share this with your friends and family and other like-minded moms and dads who are really seeking some solutions regarding how to change parenting, right? So, Carlo, thank you again for being here.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute
And
pleasure. Thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to Gamepathy Podcast or RPG Coaching on YouTube channel. I was and I'm still am Lori, and see you the next time of Gamepathy. Bye.